Hey everybody, Kartik Subramaniam over at ADHI Schools. Welcome to our podcast. Got your email? Here to help, as always. This is a crazy email. Hey Kartik, I'm in my first escrow. Congratulations, man. That's good. I'm in my first escrow and I just got the disclosures back from the seller, the email says, and someone died in the house within the last 3 years. I'm scared to show this disclosure to my buyer because I'm worried it's gonna freak them out and they won't buy the house anymore. I've been in the real estate business for 6 months and I have no money. If this deal falls apart, I don't know what I'm going to do. Help. Help. I don't know what you want help with. Are you suggesting that you don't want to show this disclosure to the buyer? If that's the case, are you fucking nuts? You can't hide a legally required disclosure from your buyer. You might remember a long time, well, maybe you don't know this, but I'll give you the scoop. In 1983, there was a lawsuit called Reed versus King. And in Reed versus King, a mother and her 4 children were murdered in a home, but it was 10 years prior to the sale. In this case of Reed versus King, the seller and the agent got together and said, if a buyer finds out that 5 people were murdered in this house, we might not get our deal done. So they went to all the neighbors, knocked on the doors of all the neighbors and said, hey, look, you and I both know what happened here 10 years ago. All these murders, you're going to see me showing the house over the next couple of months. If you see a buyer looking at the house, do me a favor. Don't say anything to them. Don't come out of your house. Just mind your own business. Because if they find out that 5 people were killed in this house, they're going to pay less for the property, which is going to hurt everybody's property value. Just go on in your house if you see me showing the home. Basically the gist of Reed versus King. Now, of course, in this case, a buyer bought the house, wasn't told about the 5 murders, and of course bought the house, and all the neighbors came over with apple pie and said, oh my God, I can't believe you bought this house. You know what happened here 10 years ago, right? The buyer in that case sued the seller and the agent, and the buyer won. Now, we can't learn anything or too much from Reed versus King because how often are 5 people killed in a house? Well, not enough to have some kind of rule about it. Now, if you're in the real estate business, you probably know this already, but in California, the rule is if somebody died on a property within the last 3 years, you have to volunteer that information to a potential buyer. So in this case, Mr. Real Estate Agent, you've sent me this email. You have a disclosure from the seller that says that somebody died in the property within the last 3 years. You have to, by law, give this disclosure to the buyer. The buyer has to sign the disclosure, and then the buyer is going to make their own decision as to whether or not they want to buy the house. Your commission check and this disclosure actually have nothing to do with each other. So if you're somehow suggesting that, and I don't recognize the name of the person who sent this email, I'm not sure if you were one of our students, but you cannot hold this information from the buyer. Now your financial position has nothing to do with this disclosure. Might the deal fall apart? Yeah. Sell them something else. It's called life. So if you are somehow suggesting, again, by this email that you don't want to disclose this information or give this form to the buyer, that's not the way we need to do business, right? I mean, we have to be totally unattached to the outcome. You have a job to do. You have a disclosure to make. You got to get the disclosure to the buyer and have the buyer sign it. Now, normally when it comes to death on a property, people kind of feel one of 3 ways generally. One group of people kind of feel like, I don't ever want to buy a house where somebody died in it. It's one group of people. Another group of people say, look, I'll buy a house where somebody died in it as long as the death wasn't violent. So no murders or suicides, but if somebody died of natural causes, I'm fine with that. That's a second group of people. The third group of people really don't care. Hey, as long as I get a good deal on the house, I'll sprinkle some holy water, burn some sage, say 3 Hail Marys, and I'll be good. Most people fall into that second category where, hey, look, I don't like the fact that somebody died in the house, but as long as it wasn't violent, I'm okay with it. So all you can do is provide the required disclosure to your buyer, and hopefully they'll buy or they won't. And if they won't, They'll thank you for making the disclosure that's, by the way, required by law, and you'll sell them something else. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. That's my take. That's my advice. Follow me on Instagram at Kartik's Picks. Follow the school at Avi Schools. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button. If you're interested in taking real estate classes, feel free to call the office at 888-768-5285, and we can walk you through it. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care. Make it a good day.